Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Gem Drafter. I'm your host, James Newton, and I'm here with Payson Burnett. Shout out
Back
Tyson
for a
Morgan.
second go around.
Yeah, for sure. Let me just
I
add
got
this.
more than 20 listens, so I had to come back.
It's actually at 80 listens. And I was very surprised with one of my older episodes. The one I recorded with Darren was up to like 270, and it's from last year.
People are just looking back, trying to see if they can figure anything out for your dynasty leagues.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Definitely. Let me get over to the sheet here. Anything eventful happen in your week?
Oh, it has been a crazy week, but nothing I really need to share. No, I'm just glad to be doing something that's not work right now.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. We went out to dinner last night and the waitress was just a total ass. And my friend works at that restaurant and I called him over because she messed up. Becky ordered fried cod and they brought baked cod. And I called my friend over and I said, "Hey, is this the fried cod?" And he like burst out laughing. He's like, "No." And he
Does
goes,
it look fried?
Yeah, he goes, "Who's your waitress?" And I kind of like described her. And then he's like, "Oh, she has RBF." And it like was over my head. I was like, "What's RBF?" I thought it was like a disease or something.
You're like trying to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. And so then I took the receipt and I wrote, like I took her copy and I just tipped her and like signed it. And then on my copy, I made it look the same and I wrote, "Good luck with your RBF." And I took a picture of it and sent it to him. And he's like, "No way, you did not say
You didn't
that."
say that. You didn't.
So that was my Friday night dinner.
Yeah, that's good. I went out to dinner last night as well. We went to a restaurant we've never been to, like drove by it a few times. There was a bunch of old people there. So I live kind of close to the beach, so there's a fair amount of retired folks that live here. And so like this couple that is like not married and like anti-marriage were like touching on my wife and I was like, this is weird. And then I don't know if this was like a code word or not. I'm gonna have to look it up, but they were asking if we wanted to come over and play shuffleboard. And like I feel like that's more like shuffling up the marriage or something. And I was like, sorry, I don't play shuffleboard.
Interesting. My
Yeah.
friend's wife was I won't say which friend because I don't want to put him on blast, but my friend's wife was asking one time, like, "Do you guys ever do sleepovers?" And I was like, "Is that some weird code word?"
I don't think so.
Anyway, let's get into this fantasy football stuff here. That's what this is all about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So today,
Restaurants, food. That's not this. That's not this podcast.
it's fun to talk about once in a while, though. Let's kick it off today with this opening question that I had. What do you think the difference between Justin Herbert and Matthew Stafford is next year in points per game? Like as far as like an average fantasy points per game, because this past year it was only about 2.5 points. Herbert was at 26.9 and Stafford was at 24.2. So I guess the question is like, do you think it was an outlier year for Stafford? I know it's kind of like, it's hard to tell because he switched situations after being in what people classify as a bad situation for so long.
What do you mean a bad situation? I don't know what you're talking about. Had to flash the Lions sweatshirt for the audio only folks. So to me, Matthew Stafford, in order to do like a Justin Herbert and Justin Herbert for Matthew Stafford in the first, in order for that to be like a good trade for you, Matthew Stafford actually has to outperform Herbert. So like the likelihood of that I think is pretty low. And I think that's kind of what you need in order to make that trade make sense. So then I think you're looking at like what's Stafford worth right now, and it's something much lower. I don't know. Like, is Stafford worth 2 firsts still? I think maybe it's just 1 now, which feels weird, but he's 34, 35 now.
34, I believe.
Yeah. And then Cup had an otherworldly year. Likelihood of that repeating is pretty low, I think. So I think I'm on the Herbert side. And if that is close to the 2.5 points it was last year, I think you're still losing with Stafford.
I think it's gonna be a wider gap next year. Honestly, I think it's gonna be more like 5-6 points, maybe even 7. You got Beckham with the torn ACL. Is Robert Woods gonna come back? Torn ACL. Akers kind of shaky down the stretch in the playoffs. That old line for the Rams is kind of older, right? Also,
yeah, Andrew Whitworth, former Bengal.
I have some stats though I know Stafford's career is much larger sample size, 13 seasons, but over his career, he's averaged 3,800 passing yards and 24 touchdowns. And I know the situation has changed, so it's kind of hard to judge that, but through 2 seasons, and Herbert's been in a good situation for both of his seasons, averaged 4,700 passing yards and 34.5 touchdowns. And you also got to take into consideration that Stafford doesn't run at all. Herbert's a big boy, can get outside of the pocket, averaged 260 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns over his first 2 seasons. So, I mean, the way I framed the question was just like, what do you think the difference is? But I guess you kind of answered it in the sense of like, would you downgrade from Herbert to Stafford to add depth? And I think your answer is no.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
I
think
if
I'm downgrading from Herbert, I'm downgrading to like multiple young assets. I'm trying to get like, I don't know, 2 of the 4 rookie quarterbacks that for some reason I'm in love with this year.
So you'd want to downgrade to something other than Stafford for sure. If it was Stafford though, I'd want to be kind of primed up to win now, and I would want like a really good skill position player coming with Stafford, and then maybe a pick also. So it's kind of extreme. Yeah. I don't think people would really be willing to do that type of trade for Herbert. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, people love those young quarterbacks.
And then there's like I know it's probably like BS, but the whole thing with Sean McVay getting courted to go into the booth versus being on, it's just like, is that 2 years from now, could you see like that Ram situation being completely different than it is right now? And like, I just don't think I think Herbert, is going to be there for a long, long time. They're not going to let him leave that town.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only concern you really have with the Chargers is like Keenan Allen's age. I don't think you have to have any concerns about like him not being the quarterback of the future there. They're also in a new stadium. They have the same kind of goals that the Rams had and have. So they've got to make a splash. So I think they're probably bringing in free agents. They're probably going to be drafting more offense just to get fans in the stands. So I think that's the side you want to be on. And then the Rams, I think right now McVay's saying he wants to defend his Super Bowl title, go for 2. I don't really think that's happening. I kind of feel like they kind of lucked out, only having to play the Bengals and not the Bills or the Chiefs. And then, other folks losing, maybe the Packers, I don't know. Seemed like the easiest path for them this year.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. I'm just not putting a lot of faith that situation is going to stay consistent. And, people argue the way Cup plays, he's going to stay at this level going into his 30s. And I just don't know if that's for sure or not. It's not something I'm going to bet on with an asset like Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
So moving on from that, unless you had anything else to add to that, I had to toss in another Malik Willis hype video. I don't know did you watch that play?
I have not watched that play. I can see if I can get that.
I'm looking at it right now while you're bringing it up, and it's a little clip about 18 seconds of him breaking a tackle that he would not break in the NFL, running away from 3 guys and pitching it forward like how was that Kyler? It looks like that Kyler interception in the Rams game when he was pinned up against the end zone. He just like kind of shuffles it forward, and it's like on Twitter as a hype video for Malik Willis, and I'm just like, dude, that's the type of stuff you don't want to do in the NFL. That's getting intercepted all day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that guy was just wide open on the sideline, like no defenders close to him, and then Malik Willis just threw up a duck and like a hope and a prayer.
Yeah. So I don't
I
know.
think he's even pitching it forward. He's not even like throwing it forward. It's
yeah,
not even overhand.
yeah, which is impressive. I just, since I kind of was hating on him last week, I had to bring it back a little bit.
Yeah.
I just think people are too high on him, man. I think it's gonna be a bust of a pick if you're spending a high pick on this guy, unless he goes to the perfect situation where he's getting groomed properly.
Yeah, I think I am probably thinking he's a bust, but I think I probably also think that I prefer him to the other four. Like I think the upside of Malik Willis is still higher than the upside of the rest of them, just because he could actually rush for 808 touchdowns. He could be more like Lamar Jackson.
I definitely see that side as well, but I just think there's a lot more red flags than guarantees. And so we'll just stop the hate now on Malik
Stop
Willis.
hate for today. We'll start it again next week.
Yeah, I'll find something. So I have this little section here on the show sheet called Tweets of the Week. This one's actually pretty old, but I thought it was funny. Dick Butkus, former linebacker for the Bears, I think, right?
Yeah.
Tweeted when Tom Brady retired. I just thought it was funny. I think it's great Giselle let Tom Brady retire. Hopefully she'll let him keep Gronk in the yard. I just thought that was hilarious. And I actually saw some like rumor mill that the Cardinals are a landing spot for Gronkowski. I think if Gronk's not playing for Brady, I think he's done again, personally.
Yeah. I also heard the Bengals as a potential Gronk location, but I feel like that's very unlikely. I think he's retiring. Like he's made enough money. He's got enough Super Bowls. Like I think he's okay.
Yeah, let's just stick with Uzama. Come on. I just bought a share.
You just bought a shirt.
Oh, a share.
A share. Okay. I was like, you like got a Uzama jersey? Like,
yeah, man.
You sell those?
That's my guy.
You had to do the custom name. Like they didn't even sell them online.
yeah, for sure.
Dick Butkus actually is really a great Twitter follow. He kind of came on the scene like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And he was just flaming people, like, because people would reply to him with like jokes, and then he would just come in even hotter. So, great Twitter.
Doesn't care about getting canceled at all.
No, he's just canceling other people.
So this one might lead to some dynasty value talk. Jarvis Landry tweeted before this year, I missed 0 games, so push y'all narrative. It's noted. And I see Jerry Jeudy tweet stuff like this all the time. Like, you guys ain't seen nothing yet. I do love Jerry Jeudy, but I mean, Jarvis Landry is kind of interesting for like a win now asset for a team, because if he does stay with the Browns, I know I was crapping on Baker Mayfield last week, but I mean, targets are targets, and there's nobody else there except for Donovan Peoples-Jones. They are likely going to draft a wide receiver because their defense is pretty good. So just an interesting tweet that he's motivated.
So let's just scroll through here. So I'm looking at his PPR finishes. So last year he only had 12 games, 130 PPR points. In 2020, he had 186 in 15 games. And then before that, what?
So he lied.
Yeah, he has definitely lied. I don't know if that's why he missed that game. Maybe sleeper's wrong. Maybe the stats are wrong. That's Jarvis.
I have it right here on fantasydata.com as well. 15 games in 2020. Anyway,
there you go. But either way, it's been 3 years since he's been over that kind of 200 points, which is not like a perfect threshold, but like generally you're seeing good wide receivers you want on your team be over 200 points back to a 16 game season. So I don't think Jarvis is there anymore. I think he lucked out one year in Miami and had a bunch of touchdowns. And then other than that, he hasn't actually been that good, that useful to your team. Like averaging 12 points a game isn't really going to get you there. You'd rather have, 24, 24 and 0 than averaging 12.
Sometimes I do like that consistency though for like my wide receiver 3 or my flex spot, or even if it's a deeper starting lineup like the startup we just did where there's 12 starters. Like I wouldn't mind if I was a win now team having Jarvis Landry as one of my last 2 flex spots in like a start 12 league.
I'm on the opposite side of that. I'm thinking I prefer like Mecole Hardman to Jarvis Landry. Like 9 times out of 10, maybe I'm not getting anything, but it's possible that I hit that long touchdown and he's kind of making my week.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I don't know, something about consistency. It just makes me feel more comfortable with my lineup, but I totally get where you're coming from with that boom bust for the flex spot for sure. Speaking of Mecole Hardman, I saw on Twitter somebody compared, I can't remember. Somebody was saying that, oh yeah, someone was saying Gabe Davis is basically Mecole Hardman. And I was like, I mean, for fantasy, maybe, but they're 2 completely different players. Like Mecole Hardman is a pure speed player. And I feel like Gabriel Davis is a little bit more polished than that.
Yeah, I feel like the Gabe Davis thing is so interesting. Like he seems like the easiest fade at like now higher expectations, but he also could be the number 1. And you got Josh Allen at QB. They haven't really had a good number 2. So like this is his opportunity to shine. Steph Diggs is getting older. Gabe Davis is only 22. So it could really flip here. And Gabe Davis is actually good. Like, but I think odds are he's not. Like 80% he's not.
I actually believe that he is good. I liked him as a prospect, and I think he hasn't gotten a fair shake yet in the NFL. So this might be the season where he does. I'm not going to bet a lot of chips on it, but if I have wherever I have him, I'm not selling him, high right now. I'm just going to kind of ride it out, I think, because people aren't really offering that much for him. You're not going to get a first for him.
Yeah, because that first could be Chris Olave.
Yeah, well, interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit later when we get to the trades, because I'll give you my thoughts of where I might get Chris Olave in a 12-team super flex. So I thought this tweet was interesting also. I'll mention this guy's name at G_fantasy. I just saw it, as you can see, probably it was just under NFL. I was a huge Kadarius Toney hater. I thought dude was 100% bust material, even with first-round draft capital. But now I think he's a stronghold, maybe even a buy. Same with Devonta Smith. Thought he was overrated. Now I'm genuinely a fan of the dude. I think he's underrated. Turn L's into lessons, and I was the same way with Kadarius Toney. Senior. I just wasn't really on him. And same with Devonta Smith. Like they played 4 years in college, older prospects coming out. But I'm actually pretty big fans of both at this point because they're not really that expensive. I mean, maybe Devonta Smith is, but definitely not Kadarius Toney because people are really hating on that Giants situation. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on those 2 players.
So I feel like Toney is like a flash in the pan kind of. I feel like his profile still wasn't good. So I'm not really buying the Toney hype or the Toney comeback. I think he had like, 1 game, 2 games, maybe?
Yeah, but he's dealing with injury.
Yeah.
So he could be.
So he had that one game with 9 targets, and it was 78 yards, 6 receptions, 1 game with 13 targets. That was the huge one, the blow up, 10 receptions, 189 yards. And then later he had another 12 target game and a 9 target game, but both of those were low yardage totals. So I don't know. No touchdowns, no consistent play throughout the year. Now, part of that's going to be injury, but I didn't think he was good as a prospect, and I think I'm going to be okay sticking with that. Now, Smith, on the other hand, like might have the best nickname, the Slim Reaper. I think that's perfect for him. Like He is very skinny, very small, but he is stealing souls. So I guess I kind of have to like Devonta Smith, even though I still think he's too small.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was hating on him coming out. I will counter your Kadarius Toney points though with the fact that I think he's going to have some opportunity because Galladay can't stay on the field either. At worst, he's number 2. I mean, Barkley's. I mean, if they get Barkley going, Barkley's probably going to suck up some targets. But I think Kadarius Toney does have some opportunity. I did like him as a prospect. The beef I had with both these guys was one, Devonta Smith small, like you said, and the main thing was like it's very rare that a guy breaks out into a superstar when he stays, 4 years in college. Like it's usually the younger guys that have younger breakout ages that really flash. But I think Tony could be a serviceable dynasty, asset for your team for sure. So I guess we'll see who's right.
Yeah, I guess the other part of Tony is the knucklehead factor. So I think that's a huge risk too. We were talking about tweets from wide receivers and how sometimes they just say ridiculous stuff. I feel like Tony is on that spectrum, which could mean he's really good, like the crazy hot scale for girls. Like that same scale kind of works with wide receivers too.
I feel like I feel like as an NFL player, Kadarius Toney is somewhat of a like less. I don't know how to describe this, but I'll just say it this way. It's not even proper English, but a less break tackle-y Debo, like kind of like he's not as thick as Debo, not going to break as many tackles, but I just feel like he plays that kind of style, and they're going to use him that way with like the jet sweep type stuff. But we'll see. It really all depends on whether he can stay healthy this year or not, and whether that team does anything this year.
Which I think we know the answer to that one. So
I don't know, man. I'm not gonna tell the situation before it happens this upcoming year, and they got a whole NFL draft to go through yet, and overhaul on the coaching staff and all that. So I think the Giants could be a team that surprises this year. I mean, I don't know. I know I'm on an island with that take, but
I appreciate that you're leaning in everywhere, though. How many shares of Saquon Barkley do you have now?
I'd have to, let's see, 1 out of 9. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. So there's one that I don't have. 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 9. Dang, it's pretty heavy.
Leaning in.
Yeah, so I'm definitely a little bit biased there, but I just believe that if they can somehow dumb it down for Daniel Jones and just keep things tight in that offense, they do have the skill position players to move the ball. So
I think that's
like I
probably
said,
true.
We'll see. So I'm gonna move on to some current events here now. And let's talk about Michael Thomas this morning restructuring his contract to give the Saints some cap room. So do you think that means that he's definitely going to be a Saint this year then, or?
I don't know. That might make it easier for him to be traded. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's less of a cap hit for whoever takes him on.
Yeah. I can't imagine him coming back with the Saints. I can't imagine the Saints really wanting him back. Like his age, their current rebuilding situation doesn't seem to make sense for me that Michael Thomas would be back with the Saints.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It kind of seems like they're just going to go back to Jameis Winston at quarterback, right? Because what else is there?
Because what else is there? Yeah, I think. Well, there we go. So he's a good follow on Twitter too. Doing those wide receiver things, tweeting random stuff. So one day ago he said valuable pain, and then after that he said back in that mode, back on that business.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
So I don't know.
And he was like,
he said, "I'm a football player."
There you go.
I gotta get in some of these sound drops here. Hey, Michael Thomas.
Make me a bologna sandwich.
Make yourself useful. Anyway, so I think this is kind of interesting. I think it's mostly smoke, but QB rumors in San Francisco, you know, people are saying, oh, Tom Brady, which I think is total BS to San Francisco.
Yeah, not happening.
But then, like, look, 2 days ago, Adam Schefter said the 49ers might try to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. Do you think there's any validity to that statement? I mean, it's Schefter.
I feel like there is some validity to that. And I think that's the real scary part. Because if you think back to the 49ers season, how they got to where they were, it wasn't because of Trey Lance. And if they think, well, we were actually pretty close to the Super Bowl, like we were up on the Rams and the Rams won the Super Bowl, like you might say, well, as a 49er, I'm like, well, Jimmy Garoppolo almost got us there. We make a couple tweaks and I think we're there. So keeping Jimmy makes sense.
Do you think it's a possibility that they trade Trey Lance and keep Jimmy Garoppolo?
I think that is a possibility. I'd still say that's less likely than the trade Jimmy Garoppolo and keep Lance. But I would say that that's not like close to zero. That's like 10%, 15, maybe even higher.
The first thought that comes to my head is like, what if the Lions go get him?
Oh, I would love that.
That'd
I'd
be
be so
very
excited.
interesting. So yeah, I thought that the I forget why I even had this little screen of the chat from our league with Benny D98 and I Yield Fates for the Rodgers retiring thing. I know it's a little bit off subject here, but I had to bring it up because of my terminology that you asked me about. I don't think that, you know, like retiring is off the table for Rodgers just because he would go in the same year as Brady. I actually, you know, see two narratives where like, yes, like he doesn't want to be overshadowed by Brady, but I also see where like he would think it's amusing that, you know, he gets in at the same time as a guy that played 7 years longer than him.
Yeah. And do they do it alphabetically? He might technically get in first.
Well, if it goes by last name, then Brady would go first.
Oh yeah. So I was thinking Aaron Rodgers listed first because of the A, but yeah. It might be Rodgers after Brady. Yeah. That's a tough one. I think it's pretty likely to me that he retires, which is kind of a hot take for some, but I don't see that the Packers have a team without him that can compete, and they're all kind of getting older too. Feels like the Packers should try rebuilding. Not sure it makes sense to have Rodgers on that team. And then the whole fractured relationship, which I read into a lot there. Some of that's maybe just Rodgers being Rodgers, and maybe there's really nothing there. But there was a ton of smoke last year.
Yeah, I would have to look up like all the veteran defensive players that the Packers have and like what their contract situations are, because we do have a solid defense. And I say we because I'm a Packers fan and I know most people probably know that. But yeah, if they're gonna, I do think they should go the rebuild route. I saw on the local news here the other day, they were like, should the Packers trade Jordan Love? And I'm like, no, what the hell are they gonna get for him?
Yeah.
He was not good at all when he played.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that Bill Belichick could do. He could trade a backup quarterback and has traded a backup quarterback a couple times.
Second round pick.
Yeah, I think if the Packers bail on Jordan Love, that's like the same as Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals bailing on Josh Rosen. Like people know, like, okay, you're close to this person, you know his practice habits, you know how well he does in practice, and you're saying we need a quarterback, but it's not him.
That's a great comparison. I love that. You know, what's funny is the Jimmy Garoppolo, yeah, got traded for a second round pick, and that sounds ridiculous, or it's, you know, sounds ridiculous, but then we're talking about him being on a Super Bowl contending team and being the guy there. So maybe it's not that ridiculous.
Yeah. I guess the one that sticks out to me was Jacoby Brissett. I don't remember what the trade was though, with the Colts.
Oh yeah, I think it was like a third or something, which is still
Okay.
pretty pricey.
Yeah.
So I know we talked about Deshaun Watson and Trey Lance last week, but we're just kind of touching on them again. And because I think since we talked about him last, we didn't talk about Flores going to Pittsburgh, and that Deshaun Watson situation still unresolved. And I have some screenshots in here of these tweets from Drew Davenport, who I think is a lawyer. Or just
He plays one on TV.
Okay. So he had a nice little thread about the Deshaun Watson case and how Watson's attorney seemed somewhat confident that it would be wrapped up by April 1st. And I think there's something with like a statute of limitations from the first allegation that was in 2020, last day, or not the last day, but 3/30/20. So March of 2020. And it's a 2-year statute of limitations. So they would have to file charges by April 1st of this year, and that's coming up. So we're thinking that we might get some clarity. And I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how confident are you that we're going to get clarity on Deshaun Watson, and do you think he's going to go to Pittsburgh?
So I guess this thread really clarified some things to me. Like, I had no idea about that statute of limitations thing. It seems like that might make some sense. It feels weird to me that charges haven't been filed. So I'm guessing the case is not actually that strong. And so then it kind of gets dismissed at some point, or they're just never filed. So I think clarity is coming. Do I think he's going to Pittsburgh? No. Do I know where he's going to play? Still no. Maybe he's going to the 49ers, though. I think that rumor's probably out there.
Nice.
No one asked that.
Do you know what those sound drops are from?
I have no idea what those sound drops
are from. This like 15-year-old video. It's called Unforgivable.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I remember that. That's unforgivable.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Coming after me. I think there's a good chance that he goes to Pittsburgh, but it's just like, are they going to give up that draft capital for him? I mean, they've shown in the past they are willing to give up draft capital. Like, they gave up a first for Minkah Fitzpatrick. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for them to give up 2 firsts for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. And I think if they did figure out a way to get Watson, I think they're a competitive team right away. So that makes sense to me that you would pay kind of whatever it takes to get him.
Yeah. But with that defense, I mean, I know the offensive line is aging, but they got a young stud running back. They got the wide receiver core, I think. I like Claypool. I like Deontay. Juju's probably leaving town.
You forgot about Muth.
Yeah, I was good. Yeah, Freiermuth. And don't forget about Ray, dude.
Oh yeah, Ray Cloud. Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see. I think that would, I mean, if he went to Pittsburgh, I guess if Deshaun Watson plays, it vaults him back up into the top 6, 7 Superflex Dynasty assets, like, immediately, because he's still only 26.
He's got a slot ahead of Trey Lance, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. So at least top 24.
Is that where Trey Lance is now? Is he 24th?
I mean, based on our
oh, you mean overall? I was thinking QB 24.
Oh no, not that would mean that Donzo. Trey Lance. So moving on to the next little bit of news here. I know people are like hating on this hardcore. Matt Nagy was named the Chiefs quarterback coach, and so this hits kind of close to home for you. And a lot of people are joking, oh, Mahomes isn't a top 12 QB anymore. Like, come on, man. How much say is he really going to have in that offense? Like, it's still Reed. It's still Bieniemy. It's still Mahomes. Like, I don't know. What do you think of it?
So I think people forget that they were all very excited when Matt Nagy got the job in Chicago. Everybody thought that he was like an offensive wizard when he went there. So the fact that he's going back under Andy Reid, I think that makes a lot of sense for him. And I think Andy Reid still runs the show there, so I wouldn't be concerned at all. It's kind of like an opportunity for Nagy to kind of rehabilitate his career, but I don't think it affects Patrick Mahomes at all. And the idea of Patrick Mahomes only being a top 12 quarterback seems pretty silly.
Definitely. You know, I had forgotten that that was where he came from before he became the head coach of the Bears. So it totally makes sense now that he just slots back into where he was because he didn't make it happen in Chicago, really. Moving on, Ian Rappaport reports that the Colts are actively looking for a new quarterback. So trouble with your boy Carson Wentz.
That one's going to hurt a lot. He was my cheap but still young QB. Thought I could just, pull out some Derek Carr type years from him. Now I'm getting pretty nervous. I might have him in a majority of my teams. So
he's your Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, he's just a lot cheaper than Saquon.
Yeah, that's for sure. But Saquon is pretty cheap these days for the talent level that he's at. He's just in a bad situation. I wonder if, I know this is kind of calling back and off topic of the whole Wentz thing, but I wonder if it's just on the tip of my tongue, top of my head. I wonder if Barkley doesn't re-sign with the Giants if they have another bad year. That's something to think about.
I don't remember how old is he? Is he on his first contract still, or is he on his second contract?
I believe he's on his first contract still. He's 25.
So would he be a UDFA or would he be a restricted free agent? I don't remember how all that works. But he was a first round pick, so I guess he's probably this 5th year option already.
Yeah, let me see here. Where is he injured this year? Yeah, this will be his 5th season, so this is his 5th year option. So he would be at UDFA next year. So that's something to think about. But next year he'll be 26, so he's basically in the grave then for running back.
Yeah, ask Alvin Kamara.
Well, that's only if he beats the crap out of somebody. Allegedly.
Yeah.
All right, so I kind of teed up this main event, I guess, for the episode today. I wanted to redraft the 2021 rookies, so I just put down my order. You didn't really put your order, so I guess I'm just gonna kind of go through my order, and you can roast me as we go. Sound good?
Sound good.
So I think the obvious number one, and I think you'll agree with it, is Jamar Chase at the 101. In any format, just the youngest, best talent, best situation. I don't think we need to spend much time on it.
Yep, locked in.
For sure. So then at number 2, because I guess I should clarify that I kind of rank these based on tight end premium, start 2 tight end, because that's what majority of my leagues are. Maybe not start 2 tight end, but I would take Kyle Pitts at number 2.
I would also take Pitts at number 2.
Gosh, this is boring, man.
We're synced up. We're gonna get spicy here at 3, though.
Okay, so at 3, I still believe in the talent. I'm taking Trevor Lawrence at 103. If I had to do it over again with hindsight on the 2021 class, I just think he's the best prospect. I think they're going to get that situation figured out for him, bringing some talent around him. ETN getting back, maybe solidify that offensive line a little bit. There might be a little bit of another painful year, but I think by year 3, he's going to be off and running.
Yeah, I got to take Najee Harris here. I can't go with a QB yet.
Wow, Najee Harris all the way up at 3. Najee Harris is already 24 years old, right?
Yeah, but he's going to score me so many points, so many more points to Trevor Lawrence.
With Mason Rudolph as the quarterback?
Yeah, he's going to keep getting 14 targets a game.
True. I actually have Najee Harris down at 7, which is interesting, but I guess that's a little bit of an ageist ranking. It's not that I don't believe in the talent of Najee Harris. It's that I think this class was so damn loaded. I really don't think there's, I think it's kind of a drop off from Chase and Pitts down to another tier, but I think this 3 through 7 for me is all really, really close in dynasty value. It was really
Yeah.
hard for me to rank them.
I think that's probably right too. And I would just say that the idea of a bell cow is dead pretty much everywhere except for Pittsburgh. So that's why Najee Harris would be 3 for me.
Interesting. So at 4, I have Justin Fields. I just also believe in the talent. I think that they're going to let Allen Robinson go, which is probably not good, but I love David Montgomery, good pass catching back for him. Just a new coaching staff. Hopefully can get him all straightened out and situated there.
And I'm taking Javonte. So still no QBs for me. Javonte Williams at number 4. I think the upside if Gordon doesn't sign is crazy high, and you could even just flip him straight up for, Trevor Lawrence and a first or something like that. But if Gordon does resign, I still think that Javonte is going to take over that backfield. I think the talent was very evident over 2021.
Yeah, I think the talent's been evident since college. I mean, he did it in the NFL. He did exactly what he did in college, and he just did it to NFL players, just running guys over, carrying them on his back, catching passes. I love Javonte Williams, and he is so young, only 21 years old. I think you're off base with that, like being able to get Trevor Lawrence in a first for him. I think that in Superflex leagues, more savvy players are just going to hold on to the QB and hope his value bounces back. Because, I mean, look at the first round of Superflex drafts. Like 8 out of 12 players are QBs.
Yeah. And I guess you would say even in that draft we just did, Trevor Lawrence was still like, what, 13th overall or something?
I think like 15th. He went right before I took Fields. It was like 204, 203.
Trying to pull it up.
I'm pretty sure it was like 203.
Oh, yeah, wait, no, shit. My draft, my tabs and sleeper reordered. I just looked up an old draft now because somebody refreshed and rolled over my league to 2022.
Sleeper was being kind of funky for me. I got it right. Oh no, you have to go to like previous leagues. I don't think I can do it on the computer. I have to do it on the phone.
Yeah.
The draft results or whatever.
Yeah, he was 203. So yeah. So Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews, and AJ Brown were kind of ahead of him there.
Speaking of Kyle Pitts,
I was like, what that smell like?
been waiting to throw that one in there. So at 5, so far I have Chase, Pitts, Lawrence, Fields through 4, and then at 5, I was just so high on the talent. I am, a running back guy, but I'm also a believer that wide receivers do have more lengthy careers, and I like consistency over boom bust. I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but it's done well for me. Like I've won games with that approach. I mean, I mix it up a little bit, but I like Jalen Waddle at 5 over Javonte and Najee. I just think his value is going to sustain longer than those guys. He already sustained like a catastrophic injury in college before he got drafted, came back, had 100 targets, 6 touchdowns, rookie year with a quarterback that people think is bad. So I'm going Jalen Waddle at 5.
I agree with Jalen Waddle at 5. I think Waddle still goes above the QBs for me too. I know super flex, but the rookie years for Lawrence, Fields, and Trey Lance were just so unspectacular that I think I'm taking spectacular Jalen Waddle.
You know what's interesting is you just reminded me, I saw a meme today that of Terry Bradshaw, and they were like, so glad Terry Bradshaw didn't have all this social media crap when he was playing, because in his rookie year he threw 6 touchdowns and 24 interceptions.
I can't imagine a QB today being allowed to continue playing. Like, he'd be benched before he did 24 interceptions.
You would be done. Moving on, we already talked about these two guys. At 6 and 7, I have Javonte and Najee, and I have those guys pretty much neck and neck in my dynasty rankings. Like, I think I have Javonte 2 and Najee 3 after JT for dynasty running backs. And the only reason why I have Javonte ahead is because of the age difference. Like he's 21, Najee is 24 already. Going to get a couple more years out of Javonte. And I think those years are going to end up being bell cow years, like what you're getting from Najee this upcoming year. Maybe it's not this upcoming year for Javonte, but I think it is in the near future for him for sure.
Yeah, and that's Justin Fields for me, finally taking a QB. And I think Fields over Lawrence because I think that you get a little more rushing potential with Fields. And so while they're all kind of unspectacular at this point, I think you balance out a little bit with some rushing from Fields.
I think Fields at his fullest potential can be very close to a Lamar Jackson type rusher. I think he's a 4.45 speed guy. He's pretty fast.
Yeah, I think he's fast too. It's just he wasn't willing to run that much this past year. And I don't know how much of that is, Matt Nagy's coaching and play calling versus like an unwillingness to run.
I think that he's just smart and conservative with his running. Like he doesn't want to run just to run. And I liked that he slid, when he did run.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah. As opposed to Trey Lance, who is going to get his head taken off someday.
And that's the guy that I have at number 8 behind the running backs. I got Trey Lance just because of the upside, for him. That's why I have him obviously ahead of Mac Jones, because we know that Mac Jones is, probably less upside than Trey Lance. Trey Lance probably has a lower floor than Mac Jones. But for the time being, the narrative, Trey Lance is in a good situation. He's going to be the starter this upcoming year in San Fran. All that other stuff that we talked about earlier are still just rumors. So we'll see if any of that comes to fruition. It's easy for me because I don't have any Trey Lance. I'm not really worried about it. So
yeah,
I think value-wise, this is the spot for him.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I guess I'm on 7. I think I'm on 7. So then I would have Fields, then I'd have Lawrence. Or no, sorry, I'd have Fields and then I'd have Lance and then I'd have Lawrence. So I would have Lawrence last of the 3 right now. And I think, yeah, what you said about Lance's upside makes him more valuable to me.
I think also just the amount of people that are valuing him the way they are it's kind of like, okay, like even if I did own him, like I would feel comfortable because of how high other people are on him. I know that's
so you were talking about last week how you didn't want to go along with other folks, which I guess you don't have any Trey Lance, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
At some point, the valuation from elsewhere forces your hand a little bit.
Yeah, I guess what I should say to clarify that is like I don't mind going with other people's valuation for like short sprints. Like I'll take some of that risk for a short amount of time and then try to like dish that player off.
Yeah, and I think Lance, you've got a perfect sell opportunity coming up, assuming it comes through. If it doesn't come through, then I think you lose potentially a lot of value. But assuming Jimmy Garoppolo at some point gets traded, then the Lance pop, I think, would at a minimum probably get him above Lawrence. And so you're looking more at that 2.3 versus the 2.7 or whatever.
Well, isn't Jimmy Garoppolo a free agent?
Oh, is he a free agent?
I'm not quite sure, but I think he is.
I should know these things before I spout my mouth off.
I'm almost positive.
Oh yeah, he's not a free agent. He's got a cap-friendly $25 million number for 2022.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm positively wrong.
Positively wrong. Where's your soundboard? Do you have a wrong?
No, I need to get. I only have 8 buttons, and I don't know. I have some other goofy stuff on here that's like from my inside stuff from my friends. Like this one is what I would play if you said something that I thought was ridiculous. So I probably should have used it already.
Yep, pro.
My friend, we just have some goofy inside stuff, and like instead of saying the F word, we would put a B on the front of it.
Buck yeah.
I like how slow that one was. That's good.
Yeah. Anyway, at number 9, I have Mac Jones just because of super flex, and I like the stability of his situation. You know, people were arguing the same type of points for Matthew Stafford when he was in Detroit, and that was a terrible situation. Like, oh, all the guy does is be like a low end QB1. He's great as your, second option for your super flex spot for your team. Good value. So I think Mac Jones is like a nice little value right now. Honestly, I think people are like really hating on the fact that he's not going to be a top 5 guy, and it's like, sometimes you just go with a lower end QB and make up for it elsewhere in your lineup.
Yeah, agree with Mac Jones at 9. I think you've got a little tier gap from the top 8 down to Mac Jones. And then I think there's a mini tier here with Mac Jones at 9, and then your next guy, who is also my next guy, Devonta Smith. I think both of those are still top tier talents. And I think looking back at this, you see how good the 2021 class was. Like, this many people to be kind of in your top 3 to 4 rounds of Dynasty the following year, it feels like a lot. I think that's kind of what you dream of for the 2022 class that nobody likes right now, because I think you can get all of the 2022 class cheaper than the 2021 class.
Oh yeah. I mean, people are probably starting, this is probably like after, I would say after Trey Lance is probably where the 101 starts for 2022.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Then you start kind of mixing them in right there. Yeah, I like Devonta Smith. I think going to be a target monster there as long as they're not overthrowing him and missing him all the time, and if he can stay healthy, because like we said earlier, he is a smaller guy. But I mean, he proved that he can play, so it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out in Philly. Like, is Jalen Hurts going to be the guy, or are they going to shake things up? It's going to be very interesting for them.
Yeah, and I think the big thing to me with Smith is they didn't really have any other wide receivers, so he was taking the brunt of the coverage and surviving. The idea of him being small, I think you think, well, he'll get pushed off the line a lot and stuff, and like he just won't be able to get open. He won't be able to fight through coverage, and I think he proved this year that he can do some of that.
Definitely. So at number 11, I think this is where you're going to disagree with me again, but I have Elijah Mitchell. When he was healthy, he was the guy in San Fran for the most part. Several 20-point games in this season. I know he doesn't have a lot of draft capital, but I just think that the running back landscape is so rough right now after those top, 4 or 5 guys in Dynasty, that I think Mitchell is good value at 11.
Yeah, and I was looking back at some of your teams. I feel like you were on Mitchell in the 21 drafts, and I didn't even realize it, because I feel like you had him pretty much everywhere. I would also take Elijah, but I'm going to go with Elijah Moore, not Elijah Mitchell. I feel like the Jets have that upswing potential. If Zach Wilson isn't terrible, which we don't really know, but I think Elijah Moore has proven that he can play. So as long as the Jets aren't like the Giants, I think we've got a shot with Elijah Moore.
You read my mind. That's like how I feel about the Jets, about how you feel about the Giants. I'm just like kind of hands off. Like I'm not willing to bet on them being good. I think Zach Wilson was, worse than Daniel Jones, in my opinion. Like, just terrible decision making and getting injured and all this bad stuff. And Elijah Moore, I think on the most recent Fantasy Footballers episode, they quoted, Elijah Moore having, I think it was like wide receiver 2 for a short stretch during the season. And I definitely,
yeah, that wasn't with Wilson.
So it wasn't with Wilson. What you can read into that however you want. Like, does that mean that it's not going to happen when Wilson's the guy, or whatever? But I was on Elijah Moore in college. I like the talent. It's just Jets, man. I can't do it. I don't know. Oh, but we kind of skipped ahead. Oh no, we didn't, because he's your 11.
Yeah, he's my 11. Yeah.
So my 12 is Bateman, because I really love the talent. I know that the passing. Come on. Cat's trying to get up here. I thought he was sleeping, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm up now. I like Bateman at 12. I believe in the talent. I know that the passing was way up this year. I saw some tweets about that recently, how the passing situation was way up this year for Baltimore. Like they had over 200 more passing attempts this season than last season. So I know it's going to go down, but all they have there is him and Hollywood Brown. And I know I guess Andrews is the main, the wide receiver one there basically. But I just think, he's going to do enough to do something for your fantasy team and hold that dynasty value at least, even if he doesn't have a crazy season for you.
Yeah, I think it's probably close here for me between Elijah Mitchell, Bateman, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I might lean Amon-Ra St. Brown just because I think the target potential could be higher. Now, I think the Lions go Lions, but they're #terrible. I think Goff is probably still the quarterback for at least the first 8 games in 2022. But I think that they have so many holes that there's still going to be a hole outside that Amon-Ra can fill. So even if they draft a wide receiver or 2, like they are so vacant from a target perspective that he can still get a good amount of targets and maybe outperform Bateman, even though I think Bateman is a better player than Amon-Ra.
Yeah, I think the same. And I think Amon-Ra St. Brown reminds me a lot of Jarvis Landry. Honestly, like when I was watching him, it's like a lot of short stuff. Wasn't really, breaking a lot of tackles. Not the fastest guy. So, I mean, definitely targets going to be there, especially with Goff. Still fighting this big boy off here. Especially with Jared Goff, checking down all the time. Definitely see the fantasy value of Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I'm just not gonna. Damn it, you son of a gun! Just messed up my show. You just hit the keyboard. I'm about to kick him out of here. This is not the first time on one of my podcasts that a cat has interrupted. It was like a kind of a running thing, and when it was the Newts McBoots fantasy football podcast, everyone was like, "When's the cat cameo gonna happen?" So yeah, those are my honorable mentions after Bateman. Where I mean, it sounds crazy to have Zach Wilson below Mitchell and Bateman because of Superflex, but I don't know, man. I just don't know. I'm not willing to get burned by that. What you would have to pay for him. I mean, I don't really know what you would have to pay for him. But that my honorable mentions were Zach Wilson, Kadarius Toney, Elijah Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, which are still good assets to own in Dynasty, honestly. Like,
yeah, you're still talking top 7 round picks for all of those.
Yeah, for sure. And Elijah Moore probably like more like 5, end of 4 or 5. Like people,
yeah, because he should be 11th overall.
Yeah, definitely. All right, you want to get into some of these trades that I have on here? Do you have any trades that you want to kick it off with?
Yeah, I can start with one of the trades that I did. So this was with our friend TJ. So I traded AJ Dillon and my 2023 first for Davante Adams and TJ's 2023 second. So the big factor here to me is I think my team is #good. And I think TJ's team is built for the future. It's pretty young. He's getting a lot of 23 picks, which means that 2023 second is probably going to be the 201. And I think even TJ would say he's trying to target the 23 101. So he's doing everything in his power to make his team worse and improve that second round pick. So I think the gap from my 23 first, hopefully it's 110, 111, 112 to 201 is not that much. So this is basically AJ Dillon for Davante Adams. And I think I like that trade.
Yeah, that's I like that trade for you for sure. I think your team's good. What annoys me is that you have not put Davante Adams in your starting lineup yet.
He's
wanna-
a sleeper. He's got to earn his spot.
I want to see him underneath Justin Jefferson. Yeah, your team is looking pretty good, especially if Connor doesn't come back to the Cardinals. But I think that is a good value, a good risk to take. I mean, there's risk on both sides of this trade as far as the players. Like Dylan's a part-time back, and like is Adams going to get franchise tagged with no Rodgers in Green Bay? That's like worst case scenario for you.
Yeah, and I've got Carson Wentz and Daniel Jones in that league, so QB's looking very strong. I do have Patrick Mahomes, but the super flex is not that super.
But I mean, you got, if Mike Williams leaves, you got Josh Palmer, and so you got some good wide receiver depth with Kirk and like Juju. Maybe he'll find a new situation where he's getting more targets. So if those QBs don't work out, you're gonna have depth to slot into your super flex spot and still get some points there.
Yeah,
10 points a week.
Yeah, maybe not 20, but more like 10.
I mean, 20 is not a guarantee with the QB either. It's like
I think that was one of the other things that was pretty interesting to me. As someone starting Ben Roethlisberger a lot last year because it was super flex, there were many times that he was getting 5 to 10 points.
It's so disappointing when it happens with your QB.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move on to a trade that I made in a 12-team Superflex Start 2 tight end league. And I believe it's 6-point passing touchdowns. Doesn't really matter that much. I traded away Patrick Mahomes. Okay,
so then you lost the trade, right?
Yeah. I'm going to actually preface this by saying that I was a little bit buzzed up when I made this trade. And I was just kind of itching to trade. But I don't think I really lost that bad. And I think I have potential to get the value on my side, really. Especially if Mac Jones surprises. So I traded away Patrick Mahomes for Mac Jones, 2022 103, 2022 203, and a 2023 first. And that that little poop emoji, that's the guy whose 2023 first was on there. He pooped on it because someone was trading for his 2023 first. And that guy is a win now team, but he has very little depth. So that pick could swing in my favor quite a bit. I'm not counting on it to, but I think Mac Jones is probably worth 1.5 firsts at worst. And so I looking at this trade as I sent Mahomes off for, 1.5 plus a high plus a 23. So 3.5. One of them's for sure high at 103. And then I got a 203 on top of it, which this is where I'm bringing it up. I think that's where I could possibly get a guy like Olave, Dotson, start 2 tight end league. If people are sleeping on him, maybe even a Weidermeyer.
Yeah, I think you probably won this trade from a value standpoint. I do not like this trade, but I think you got what you should have got, which is probably around a 4 first value. And I think we kind of talked about this last week, but valuing anybody at 4 firsts, you probably should be on the 4 first side because your team is going to be better with 4 firsts worth of talent versus the single player.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to look up real quick if I can get it in here. What's the difference between Mahomes and Mac Jones was this last year? Because Mac Jones played like the whole season, right?
Yeah, I think so.
For the most part, I've got points per game, and I go 6-point passing touchdown, points per game. Mahomes was QB4 with 25.6. And it's not a good sign that I don't see Mac Jones yet. Mac Jones was QB 28 with 15.8. So quite a big difference, but obviously rookie year, very limited weapons. I mean, I know they have the 2 nice tight ends for him and a decent running game, but I mean, Nelson Aguilar, I don't know how many games he played this year, and then Kendrick Bourne as your top 2 wide receivers. You got to think the Patriots are going to do something about wide receiver this year, right?
Yeah, they're going to get Allen Robinson, and it's not going to be any better.
Oh, man. So gonna move on to the next one for trades here. The whole point of bringing these trades up is just to kind of like spin the wheels in the listeners' heads, like, oh, maybe I would like something similar like that, or maybe I like the other side. Maybe I'm interested in trading Mac Jones plus some first for Patrick Mahomes to, upgrade my QB position. Maybe, when a deal like that makes sense to me when you own your 2023 first and maybe you're like just trying to get like a Mahomes Herbert combo and like tank for a year and make your pick high. All your other positions suck, but you got these 2 cornerstone QBs that you paid up for. And then 2 years from now, your team's just going to be insane because Mahomes and Herbert aren't going anywhere unless something catastrophic happens. But anyway, moving on to the next one. This is a pretty much same format, except it's not a tight end premium. This league's kind of weird. It's kind of like the one we just started. Like it's a flat 1 PPR, but it's start 2 tight end and super flex. So I sent off Stafford and Elijah Mitchell. And then the other 2 guys are basically throw-ins, in my opinion, Tyler Boyd and Devin Singletary, like 3rd round rookie pick value. And
that's too low. I think Singletary's probably a mid-second, maybe even an early second right now.
I think that's risky to value him at that level, though. If they draft a running back, he's like instantly plummets in value.
Yeah, I don't think I'm trading mid-second, but I think that's like his value.
Okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough. So I'm going to actually restart now because people probably forgot what the trade assets were. Oh, here, I should have done this one.
No one asked that.
Matt Stafford and Elijah Mitchell, Tyler Boyd and Devin Singletary. So four players I traded away for 3 players, which were Najee Harris, Tua, Allen Robinson, the new New England Patriots wide receiver 1, and the 201. And again, I'm thinking at 201, like some good value is going to drop to me right there, like a Weidermeyer or a Olave or a running back that people don't like the situation or didn't get the draft capital. Like maybe I go early on Kevin Harris right there if I like the situation that he's in.
Yeah, I think I like to part out these bigger trades into player for player from a value standpoint. So to me, Najee Harris and Matt Stafford is kind of the first place you go to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely on the Najee side there. And then Tua versus Elijah Mitchell. I think I'm on the Tua side there as well. And then you get to like a Allen Robinson, Tyler Boyd. Yeah, I kind of agree there. They aren't likely to matter for your team one way or another. So they almost don't really matter. And then you're 201 versus Devin Singletary. So I think I'm still on the 201 side there. So I think I like Tua better than Elijah. I like Najee better than Stafford. I like 201 better than Singletary. So I think I'm on your side of this trade.
I like that. And, my goal with this trade was just to kind of get a little bit younger. And even though I do like Elijah Mitchell, just kind of like shift off a little bit because the ground still is a little bit shaky underneath him. Anything can happen with that San Francisco backfield. He has low draft capital. Like, yes, we love the talent, but you got to remember he is a 6th round running back. And Shanahan has proven to be kind of all over the place sometimes. I know, like I made the point earlier that Mitchell was the guy when he was in there, but I have a lot of Mitchell, so I'm kind of just trying to hedge my bets a little bit. And that actually made my team. So I got my QBs were Wilson and Stafford. So I got a little bit younger at QB, probably gave up some points per game though, unless Tua kind of breaks out. And then I moved my running back. So my running back 1 is Jonathan Taylor, and I upgraded my running back 2 to Najee Harris versus Elijah Mitchell.
That feels pretty strong.
And then I got a bunch of veteran wide receivers on that team, like Cooper, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, and then my wide receiver 1 is, as far as like dynasty value, is DJ Moore. So I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable with having, like, I know the QBs aren't old, but like I just wanted to kind of shake things up a little bit and get a little bit stronger at running back, a little bit more secure. because I have these win now wide receivers.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense to me, and that's a trade I'd do.
For some reason, my phone is not updating to the sheet. Oh, weird. Anyway, but I got 2 trades from Benny Raiders this morning. Not in our league. In the league that I made that trade where I sent off Mahomes, he's in that league also. He sent me 2 trades, and I'm just pulling it up on my phone real quick. Fill the void.
So the trades are Austin Eckler and Brandon Cooks
Oh, you got it.
for DJ Chark 103 and 203.
Yeah.
That's one.
Let's just talk about that one real quick. In my opinion, that's the league where I just traded away Mahomes for that depth, the 103 and 203. I'm a Chark believer also. So, like, Chark's so much younger than Cooks. I obviously think Cooks is a better, like, win now asset. And, like, I don't think Cooks is done at all. Especially if, he gets a QB. Like, he's proven to be a top 12 wide receiver at certain points in his career from a fantasy perspective. Not saying he's there from a dynasty value perspective, but I think from my dynasty value, I, have Chark and Cooks pretty close.
Yeah, I think they're pretty close. And I think this is one of those classic win now team to a rebuilding team. So Chark 103, 203, you take as a rebuilder. So that side wins in quotes from a rebuilding perspective. And then if you're a win now team, I think Eckler's a top 5 running back in 2022 from a projection standpoint. Maybe it's top 8 instead of top 5. But either way, I think you look at it, 2022 is pretty locked in for Eckler. I think he's going to get a lot of catches still. I think from production standpoint, you definitely prefer that side.
Yeah, but oh, this is funny. I want to bring this up before I forget. Since I had Mahomes on that team, my team name was I think it was like Post Mahomes. Yeah, like a post Malone. And then I noticed this morning that my team name was still Post Mahomes, but I don't have him anymore. So I changed my team name to Mahomesless. But anyway, I have Barkley and Akers and running back, and then I have like guys like AJ Dillon and Ramondre Stevenson. But I also have James Conner. So it's like I'm kind of like in the middle. Like, do I trade James Conner or, do I hang on to him? And like my wide receivers are younger. And now I have Tua and Fields and Mac Jones at quarterback. So it's like I don't want to take on Eckler, man.
Yeah, I think you probably should be trading away Barkley in that league if you're going to trade away anybody.
I actually just did a 1-for-1 with the guy that I have as 23 first from the Mahomes trade. I traded I traded Chubb for Barkley straight up.
It's interesting. They're both the same age, aren't they? Like
Chubb's a year older. They're the same draft class, but Chubb was a senior and Barkley was a junior coming out.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like, of course, you would do that trade as a Barkley apologist, but
Truther. I'm never gonna apologize for my Barkley love.
I think I'm probably on the Chubb side of that, but I'm probably trying to get to someone that's cheaper and older but still productive. Somebody like Derrick Henry. If I can get Derrick Henry plus for Chubb, I'm doing that, or Derrick Henry plus for Barkley, or I'm going younger. I'm going like J.K. Dobbins or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait and see what happens with the whole Barkley situation and see how my team kind of shakes out. Like, I'm gonna hang on to him if Akers becomes the guy, or stays the guy, I guess I should say. And if Tua levels up and Fields levels up, then I'm probably just gonna stick with my running backs. And I was in the championship game this last year, but that was with Chubb and Mahomes. We'll see what happens this year. But I want to move on. I forgot that this other one from Benny Raiders was actually in the league, that new league that we're in together. And so it's a Devy league, and it's a combined rookie Devy draft. And I have the 106, and he offered me Devontae Adams for the 106, which, you know, if you cut it in half because of the 2 draft classes being the main assets for this league, it's basically like a 103 for Devontae Adams. And you got to throw in the factor that my team is kind of like productive struggle. Like, I'm not necessarily trying to win this year. So that's what I kind of told them. Like, I'm just not interested in owning Devontae Adams on this team. But as far as value, I don't think it's like crazy far off.
Yeah. So I was trying to find, yeah. Okay. So you drafted 106 before Adams, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't even have to look. I can tell you that.
Oh, I guess you would have drafted 106 before. It was
Oh,
103,
Adams went before?
104. Adams went before. So it was 104. 104 was picked right before Adams, and then 105 and 106 were taken after.
Oh, you know what's interesting is he didn't message me until 2 picks had happened, so that's why I didn't let him change the pick. But Adam, when he drafted Adams, he asked me to change it to Deontay Johnson, which is interesting.
That is interesting. And then Deontay Johnson went after, so it went 105, 106, 107, and then Deontay Johnson. So I think that value is probably closer, somewhere more around the 108 to 110 range. But I think for your team, productive struggle or more on the productive struggle side, I think the combined Debbie draft, I think you're still leaning the pick there.
Yeah, I think that Deontay Johnson's kind of like all over the place for people. I mean, not like a crazy swing, but like I don't have him as high as most people. And then, you know, some people have him really high, like they want him over Devontae Adams.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna take Claypool or Juju instead of Devontae from like just a value, or not Devontae, Deontay. All those names are so close now. So I think I want Claypool at cost over Deontay at cost.
I actually have Claypool ranked over Deontay. Like I just think
so even straight up
I think
costing
the
board.
upside is immense for Claypool. It's just a physical specimen, you know, big play guy, had a 4 touchdown game, you know, call it a fluke, whatever you want to call it. I think Claypool.
The Gabe Davis game.
Yeah, I think Claypool can be like a DK Metcalf, honestly.
Yeah.
And I have to give credit to this dude Adam. That was kind of the first one to say that quote that he thinks Claypool could be like a DK Metcalf type guy. And I have DK Metcalf at wide receiver 6. So
there we go. I got Claypool on that team. Okay, perfect. I was double checking.
yeah.
You might have an offer in your inbox. I don't know.
I have a decent amount of Claypool. I've done a couple live trades on podcasts before, so we are running a little bit long here. Would you do you have any other like trades or anything?
No, I don't think so. I think Benny is also trying to trade me Devontae Adams. So I think Benny wishes that he had not made that trade or not made that pick. But I think we're all a little bit lower, not the right guys.
Yeah, just because of like how you were gonna be a win now, but then you kind of switched because the people were devaluing the rookie Devy picks. So I can see where you're coming with that. Like, we're not saying by any means that Devontae is a bad asset to have on your team, but there's, you know, risk attached.
I think the
whole situation with all these wide receivers that we're talking about right now, there's like a lot of range of outcome, you know, with the QBs.
Mm-hmm. I think Devontae is really interesting, and then Hopkins is really interesting just from an age perspective. Like they're in that 28, 29 range. Are they going to be Julio come 2023? Where like nobody wants them, like, you know, pick 140, and it used to be pick 30 or 40.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you're right, because Julio was 31. Yeah, so they're going to be right there. Interesting. What was your offer for Devontae?
My offer was, pulling it up, think it was 2 picks. Yeah. So it was 103 and 202 for Devontae and 111. So basically I upgrade my 202 to 111 and then downgrade my 103 to Devontae. So I think I'm still on the pick side there.
Yeah, me too. Me too. You're gonna get a stud at 103 there, unless you mess it up.
Well, it's kind of likely I'm gonna mess it up.
All right, man. Gotta go celebrate my mom's birthday. It's my mom's 60th birthday on Monday.
Ooh.
So we're going over there to not mention that at all while we're there and just say happy birthday and spend some time with
It's
the
just
family.
another day, just another birthday.
Yeah. You know, funny, when my mom turned 57, my fiance made a cake for her and she wrote happy 57th on the cake, and my mom was like, like she was kind of upset. It was funny.
Just bummed. Yeah.
Like, well, it's true. I mean, I guess I can't say because I'm not that age yet, so I don't know how I'm gonna feel when I'm that age. But I feel like it's different for men and women. Like, I don't know, aging.
I think the last birthday that matters is probably 25. After that, yeah, like the the date doesn't, or the number doesn't matter. I guess you get to like 40 and that's like a concerning number, or 30 is a concerning number for some folks, but I think you don't put the number on the cake after 25.
Yeah, I would argue 21.
Yeah.
Because of the whole drinking age in the United States, I would say 21, which 21 was my golden birthday.
Oh, I don't even know what a golden birthday is.
It's when the year and the day are the same. Like your age and the day are the same.
Oh, okay.
So when's your birthday?
October 19th. So I guess I had that when I was 19.
You had to been in the military for your golden birthday to be a drinking birthday, or in Canada, right, or something like that.
Yeah, I actually went to France when I was in high school, and in France you could drink at 14.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
That reminds me, in high school we had a civics class and we had to write bills, like proposals for like law, you know.
Yeah.
And this one girl's proposal was to have the drinking age be 12 to teach kids responsible drinking at a young age.
Yeah. So that's basically what happens in Europe. Like there's no stigma around drinking, and like you can drink, so it's less of a big deal when you turn 21, and then people know how to handle it because like they're kind of given little bite-sized pieces of alcohol as they're growing up, so they don't like, abuse it when they have more access.
Oh, I definitely abused it on my 21st birthday because it was my golden birthday. So like we had a huge party and then we went to the bar afterward. And then after the bar, there's a picture out there somewhere of me, my sister's friend, because my sister is like 3 years younger than me, and her friend, they were hanging out, like they were not drinking at this party. And there's a picture of me like holding to my beer, and I'm like one eye open, one eye closed, like just like looking like I'm totally done for the night. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah. I didn't do anything exciting for my 21st birthday, but I participated in many other shot birthdays for people. Yeah, I guess you're not getting cake for your 21st. Like that's just not something that happens. Maybe you're done with cake at like 16, as I think about that.
Yeah, well, I can't remember if I had a cake or not. That makes sense though. It's like,
yeah,
not that big of a deal once you get older. Just like most things, just like whatever.
Yeah.
So kind of like same with Christmas too. It's like I got all this stuff already. What do I really need? Like,
oh yeah, I'm not into gift giving at all. If I need something, I'm buying it. Like I don't know. It's tough.
Same.
Like people are just buying you gifts, and you're like, well, I didn't really need that. I don't really want that. Sorry.
Just clogging up my closet, or I'm gonna. Don't look at Facebook Marketplace for 2 weeks, okay?
Yeah. Oh, what is it? Old school. He like regifts the bread maker that's been regifted like 3 times already.
I can't remember. I haven't seen that movie. I'm so bad at remembering movies. I could watch a movie yesterday and be like, what happened? I'm so bad at that.
Will Ferrell like brings it over as like a housewarming gift, and he's like, "Oh, I got that for you." And he's like, "Oh yeah, we love it. I must have grabbed the wrong one."
Embarrassing. Anyway, I gotta get going. I gotta get ready for all this stuff today and all that.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. We'll see how many listens we get this time. See if the folks are still enjoying the podcast, enjoying the Payson guest podcast.
Yeah, pace on. If it's less than what the last episode was, I just think I don't think I can have you on anymore, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So I got to beat last time, or otherwise I'm kicked off the show.
And every episode after that, it's gonna be, just like everything these days, like as far as business, it's got to get bigger and better every year. Otherwise,
we've got growth or you're out.
Yeah. All right, man. You have a good rest of your day. I'll probably hit you up on DMs or whatever.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Newts.
Later.
Bye.